As you know, or if you do not know, we do have what we call an interagency consultative committee on election security. We have met periodically with the security agencies, either before elections or after elections, both to plan as well as to assess what has happened after an election. And in this fora, severally we have discussed these issues of the prosecution of those who have been apprehended and who have been detained for their participation in the post-election violence in Kaduna, in Bauchi, and in many other states. I know that this issue, we have taken it with seriousness, and we have put pressure on those whose responsibility it is to do the prosecution. And from what I have been told, a few have been prosecuted. Well, obviously there are many, and you know our court process is also how they are, regrettably. The wheels of justice in Nigeria regrettably grind too slowly, and there is a need for us to do quite a lot. And certainly we must not allow people who have committed atrocities, such as killing of innocent young men and women who participated in the electoral process, to be allowed to go scot-free. So we'll continue to do our best to ensure that all those who have participated and who have been apprehended are actually brought to book. But let there be no mistake. That kind of offense is not the kind of offense that INEC has the responsibility to prosecute. So, but with regards to the actual electoral offenses, offenses committed in the process of electioneering or on voting day, we have done our best to prosecute electoral offenders. I have said it repeatedly, and I want to say it at this forum. This commission has successfully prosecuted over 200 electoral offenders. Before we came in as a commission in June 2010, there is no record of a single prosecution of electoral offender in the history of elections in this country. So we have done our best. But of course, what we have done is a drop in the ocean. It's a drop in the ocean. And regrettably, we do not have the capacity to successfully prosecute all the numbers of electoral offenses. I have said it and I will repeat it again. On voter registration alone, which we did in January and February of 2011, we have close to 1 million offenders, clear cases of offenses. People who have registered twice or more than twice. Some of them coming to this polling unit, going to another polling unit, wearing one dress, wearing a different dress. And the photographs are there. And the information is there about what time they went to this polling unit and the other. But we have a very small legal unit in INEC. And at any time that legal unit is overwhelmed by either prosecuting pre-election cases or election tribunal cases, or really the legal work just on issues on election procedures and so on overwhelms our legal unit. And that is why, while we have done our best to prosecute more than any other commission, we still feel that there is need for this election offenses commission, in order to drive the prosecution of electoral offenders on a full-time basis. So it is not that we have not done anything. We have done our best. But clearly our best is not good enough, because we are also busy doing other things. So this is area where INEC can be unbundled, if you want to use that term, and have somebody else who can be given that responsibility so that they can do it, with appreciable results. Because ours, we have done it, but because it's a drop in the ocean, people even think that we have not done anything. So we'll continue to do our best until that responsibility is taken away from us. And we hope that really under the constitutional amendment process, and I'm glad with the information you've provided, that the National Assembly is trying to do something in that regard. But again, now that we are planning to roll out continuous voter registration, and we have already taken decisions that we will do prosecutions of offenses related to voter registration, before the commencement of the continuous voter registration. As you are aware, we are preparing to do elections in Anambra State, and the elections will be in November. We've taken a decision as a commission before the Anambra election. We will do the continuous voter registration to update the register. We have already fixed the date. It's going to be, I think, from the 17th of June, 17th of August. So in the middle of August, we are going to do continuous voter registration in Anambra. As I speak with you, we have already instructed our legal officers in Anambra State to commence prosecution of offenders, particularly those that have done multiple registration in Anambra. So very soon you will start hearing that we've taken people to court in Anambra, and it's in order to serve as a lesson, and also to ensure as a preventive measure, so that other people will take note when we come to do continuous voter registration. And before the national continuous voter registration, and I want to assure you that definitely before the end of this year, we've been talking about September, but we have reassessed our plans now. We keep saying what is worth doing is worth doing well. So we will launch the continuous voter registration nationwide, sometimes in October, not September, but certainly before the end of this year. Nationwide, in every state, we will do continuous voter registration so that we will update the register. And we will do that also until sometimes next year, before the election, because we have to stop at a particular time before the election. So I want to assure you that continuous voter registration is required by law. Most other commissions have not been able to do it, and we felt that it's a challenge. We have to do it, and we've taken time to plan it, and we will soon unfold it and be able to conduct it successfully. You have made quite a number of recommendations, and I must thank you on behalf of the Commission for these recommendations. And I want to say that we are in substantial compliance already with most of the things that you recommended, and we will keep on doing our best in that regard. Certainly, we will keep on improving access to information. In addition to improving our website, we are also very soon commissioning what we call a Citizens Contact Center. And the Citizens Contact Center is supposed to be a multimedia facility through which at any one time, every day, anybody who wants any information regarding what we do in INEC can either call the center or email or Twitter or whatever, and they will get a response from us and answers to the questions that they have raised. We've gone very far in terms of setting up the center, and this is something that in a matter of a few weeks, I'm sure we will be able to commission it. So we are doing our best to keep on improving access to information. Every request that we receive since the Freedom of Information Act was passed, we have responded to it. If we have the information, we provide. If we don't have the information, we reply and we say we don't have the information, but we have been responding, because we know that it's important to always bridge the communication gap. I have already mentioned that we will do our best to have policies as well as programs of action that can target the youth and be able to make them more engaged in the electoral process. And I will tell you something that many of you probably don't know. I was the one who drafted the first national policy on youth in this country and the action plan for that. And at that time in the Ministry of Women and Youth Affairs, I understand that there has been a lot of talk about revising that youth policy. Up to now it has not been revised, so it's the only youth policy that we have in place. So many of us really, long before we came to INEC, are committed and are passionate about youth activities and the youth involvement in our national development, and we'll continue to do that. So you are preaching to the converted when you talk about INEC having a youth policy in that regard. So we'll definitely do our best in that regard. Now, I think let me now come more specifically, but also briefly address our plans for 2015. Our plans for 2015 elections commenced immediately after the 2011 elections. Immediately after the 2011 elections, we first of all organized retreats in which we did an in-house assessment of what we did right and what we did wrong. If you recall, there was near euphoria after the 2011 elections. Virtually all international observers have identified the 2011 elections as the best in the history of this country. Many domestic observers have also identified lapses, but in general have concluded that it was an election better than any election conducted. So there was euphoria about the success of 2011 elections. But soon after, we told ourselves, we said, look, let not that euphoria get into our heads. Yes, it was better than other elections, but there is a lot more to be done. So we organized retreats where we brought all the electoral officers from all the local governments in a retreat, and we said, look, we know we have done things right, but we also know that many things were not done right. So tell us, what did we do right, what did we do wrong, so that we can plan and ensure that those things are corrected in the future. And we had very useful input from our field officers. We did another retreat with the resident electoral commissioners and with the administrative secretaries in the states. And we were able to now identify and learn lessons from the way we conducted the 2011 elections. Having done an in-house assessment, we also commissioned an independent review. And we have a report, and I'm sure it's one of the documents we'll be giving you. We have a report of an independent committee that reviewed the registration and the elections. And they told us what we did right and what we did wrong and made a number of recommendations. And those recommendations that they have made were things that we took together with our own in-house assessment and now produce the strategic plan, which is to guide us for the next 5 years, and more specifically to help us do a remarkably much better election in 2015.